strong proposal, perhaps.
And in addition to that, likely, using the webcast technology, we potentially could offer online courses.
Yes.
And, that would be kind of outreach component of this activity.
I was going to limit the discussion by the length of that tape, but Yuval, who is one of our graduate students, was able to put in another tape very quickly, so we can extend the discussion slightly. And by the way, I might ask Yuval, I'm gonna take your question, Jim, but I might ask Yuval to see if he'd be willing to contribute something in the sense that Yuval attended a school about energy this summer at Stanford, which may be along the lines of what we're talking about. And so perhaps after Jim's comment, if you may want to contribute a few remarks about that. Jim.
Oh, I just wanted to solicit ideas, and maybe I've gotten a few if I can synthesize them, about practical, just completely practical matter of trying to make ICAM on my campus relevant to our energy problem, our energy efforts. I mean, we do have a large energy institute already with resources. It is campus-wide, it functions. I do know who the director's name is. I had him come and introduce Laura Green when she came and gave us her pedagogical talk, so he knows about ICAM. But what I haven't succeeded in doing is making ICAM relevant, I think, to their efforts. It would be stupid for me to do anything without making it fit with what we're already doing.
Right.
And I think at this point it just looks like small potatoes at the level at which I've been able to bring it, to make them aware of it. So I need to find that niche that would go click, on my big campus.
Right.
And I'm still groping around for that.
Well, Jim, the
okay.
obvious first answer is that ICAM can give you a global connection to what you're trying to do. That if people at the Michigan Institute are working on problem X, Y, or Z, and they happen to know that the world's best person to collaborate on that problem is not sitting in Ann Arbor, which is of course possible, or even sitting in the US, also possible, but very likely sitting in Japan, or someone who just went back to China, or someone in India, or even someone in Europe. And you can say to a challenge to the Energy Institute, here are all these potential global connections. Do you really have the best and brightest people on the problem all sitting right here in Ann Arbor?
But I think I just want to comment on that. I want to let Yuval have a chance to comment if he wants to, and then go back to you. But one comment on that is I think we have to be careful not to be. I would suspect there's a lot of sophistication from the people doing that institute at Michigan, and they may already pretty well have a good idea of where those people are. But on the other hand, what they may not have is they may not have a particular tool that enables them to send a student or a postdoc to collaborate with those people.
No, that's the point.
Now that's what you get. Right.
I think there is something more too.
Yes.
To that, in these institutes, there are already the roads, the traditional roads, where people look to find solutions to this problem.
Right.
To specific, they're very specialized. They don't look at the problem afresh from a fundamental point of view.
Yeah.
And this group here has experience from many complex problems, and maybe the solution is not in the pathway that these traditional institutes are trying to find.
That's
they try
possible.
to optimize silicon, whatever,
Right.
solar cell. But maybe the answer is outside this kind of box.
Right.
And I think this ICAM is full of people of dealing with complex systems, and they just have to adjust their thinking and say, well, can I use what I know in a useful way for the energy problem?
Right. I think it's a good point. But I threw a challenge at it. Are you willing to accept that challenge a little bit?
Well, I can say something a little different.
All right.
And when I was, kind of applying to graduate school, I wanted to do some kind of basic science, and I wanted to do something with energy, but it was very hard to find. I don't know if now maybe today is a little different. It was almost impossible to find anything, not high energy, but just physics,
Yeah.
just, stuff like that. And I think maybe ICAM can have, I don't know if ICAM can have a role in that, but if students are looking forward to work on something like that in basic sciences, not in engineering, to have something they can actually.
Well, that connects back, I think, to what Elisa was saying, that if we have sort of a how-to with specific contacts.
Not after you're already inside, but when I was
No, a how-to that you can go to as a resource on the ICAM website with specific contacts at our branches. That could be a way of helping students find their way in without having to try to research over the whole internet or whatnot. I think Yvonne had a comment, I believe, and then Alex. Okay, so Yvonne's deferring to you, Alex.
Well, okay. So, getting back to your point, I thought I sensed your point was a little bit different, and that is, if one wants to do good basic science in energy, rather than, building prototype cells and in a sort of more engineering fashion, figuring out what goes on, that seems to be more limited in the community than the engineering type
Right.
things.
Right.
And of course, the basic things are what ICAM is about,
Right.
and perhaps sticking to that to a fair extent and acting, as a clearinghouse. I mean, I know one experience I had this past year, and it's an uncontrolled experiment. We got these 2 Energy Frontier Research Center grants, and I got really enthused by the fact that we've gotten them. So maybe I just talked better to prospective graduate students, or maybe it's the topic. But I've had prospective graduate students banging at my door this year. Unfortunately, I have money for them. Hasn't happened really in the last 7-8 years. So something resonated that we're doing basic science that is relevant to the energy problem.
I guess I think that's a key point, that there are plenty of people out there doing more engineering-based solutions on existing pathways, like you suggested. And if ICAM is going to make a niche, then as peers and others you have suggested, Alex, our strength is more fundamental.
Yeah.
And if we don't go from that strength, then we aren't going to be contributing in the best way that ICAM can contribute. Ivan.
Yeah, so currently we have soft matter, quantum matter, and biological matter as 3 thrust areas.
Yes.
And I was wondering, maybe it's time to add, complex adaptive materials for renewable energy as an additional one.
For energy, we don't even need to say renewable.
Complex, yeah.
Yeah.
It seems
I think we
that
talked about that in executive committee as a thought.
yeah.
Because
Although we can pull, one comment is we can pull into that from all 3 of these. We heard the talk by Professor Monosakis, which is clearly quantum. We've got biological proteins such as the ones Dave Britt is working on, which could be relevant.
But I think it's good to have
yeah.
energy as a specific focus.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think perhaps it should follow the meeting that you were describing, where the ideas bounced around.
Yes.
Proceeded.
Right. So to develop that thrust, that we hold a sort of founding meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, you remember during the summer we had those ideas how, we should pool the names of people who are doing research in specific areas, say soft matter or quantum
Yes.
matter, to sub-page, same way, people could list 2 different areas, like quantum matter and renewable energy,
Right.
in their
Right.
areas of interest/expertise.
Let's see. Maybe we are close to 6:30. I think that clock is off by 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So let me just see. I noticed Clayton walked in, and I'll put you on the spot perhaps, if you want to be on the spot. We're talking about energy. And the question is, since many of the postdocs and graduate students weren't able to stay for this session, but from your perspective, is there anything of interest that you would like to see, or that you wonder about with regards to that? And you don't have to take that bite. I can turn it to somebody else if there's any other comments, but I throw it out to you. you don't, especially you don't have to take that bite right on the fly as you sat down.
I'm curious how those fluorescent bulbs.
Okay. Okay. Let's see. Any other thoughts, or should we break and go to our reception? Maybe this is a good stopping point then.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Home for NEAT and ICAM. High energy physicist himself is going to join us for dinner tonight. And anyway, and the other thing I want to announce is, for those of you who are into it, take a look. Yuval.